Hey guys, welcome to the video today. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and we're going to be talking about type 2s, one of my favorite types. My wife is a type 2 wing 1, social. So I've got a lot of experience, 30 plus years of experience living with a 2. And if you are a 2, welcome to the channel. If you live with a 2, you've got a family that's a 2, this is going to be a great video for you. We're going to go through a checklist given to us in this book, The Enneagram Guide to Waking Up by Beatrice Chestnut. Fantastic book. If you haven't gotten it yet, you need to get it. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to remind you that in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where you can book Enneagram coaching appointments if you need help figuring out your type or how to be a healthier, more balanced you, or how to get along with other people in your life. I'd love for you to book one of those appointments. I'd love to meet you and talk with you. Also on my website is information about the certificate programs. If you want to become an Enneagram coach and you want to go through some basic training on how to use the Enneagram in your coaching or in your ministry or in your people helping, there are several different programs there. Enneagram Coaching, Enneagram Relationship Coaching, and Enneagram in the Christian Life. I would love for you to check out those programs. They are done online on Zoom, and if you have to miss a session or two, it's no big deal because I record all the sessions and send them to you. Okay, all right, so let's get into type 2. And also thank to my patrons. I really appreciate your support. You don't have to do it, but you do it, and I really appreciate it. I thank you for supporting the channel. Okay, so type 2s. Let's get into this. Let's talk about 2s. First of all, 2s, I love you. Thank you so much for who you are, and I realize that you don't get the appreciation that you deserve and the thanks that you deserve. I love how your personality's wired to want to help people, to want to give, to want to serve, to want to love. But you know, sometimes it can be difficult if you don't feel like you're being loved or you don't feel like you're being appreciated. You don't feel, notice I use the word feel a lot because you guys are tapped into the feelings. 2s, 3s, 4s. I realize 3s are cut off from feelings, but they're in the feeling group. More about that in the next video when we talk about 3s. But for now, 2s, I know that it can be hard when you don't feel like the love that you're giving is being reciprocated. You don't feel like the love that you're giving is being, sent back to you. And it can be difficult to maintain your motivation. It's easy for you guys to get exhausted. Sometimes it's like you kind of feel like you're responsible for everybody else, and you're responsible for everybody's happiness, and you're responsible for the environment and making sure that everybody stays up and all their needs are met. And I'm getting exhausted just thinking about it. It's got to be an exhausting place to be. So let's look at the checklist. And yes, I do prepare and I read this many times over and study it and think about it and write down notes. And, before, actually, I've read this whole book. So good. I haven't yellowed it all yet, but it's all highlighted and marked up. But then I go through and really put the yellow on it before I make a video. Okay, the path from pride to humility. And you know that even that can be hard for 2s to see that they have pride. I mean, after all, I'm willing to do whatever is necessary. I'll stay and clean up and wash up and clean up vomit and take care of the, driving the kids everywhere. How could I be the one with pride? Well, pride is a very hard sin to see. The moment you shine the spotlight on pride, deflects away. And pride is a very hard sin to see. It's easy to see gluttony. It's easy to see lust. It's easy to see anger. But pride hides itself from you. And it can be difficult for 2s when they first learn about the Enneagram to realize that their sin is pride because they literally live to serve other people. And how can the servant, have this problem with pride? But let me just give you something to think about. Think about this idea, like if something goes wrong and people in your life aren't happy, if people in your life are frustrated, if they're down, if they're sad, do you feel responsible in any way to try to change that? I should in some way help them not be upset or sad or lost or scared. notice how you tend to like take responsibility for the environment. Like if people aren't happy, then it must be something I'm doing wrong. If people aren't satisfied, then it must be some comment. It must be indirectly some comment about how I'm handling things. I'm not enough for them. I'm not able to meet all their needs. They should be. And the underlying assumption is just my presence here should be enough for them. They should be happy and they should be satisfied and they should be, okay just because I'm here with them. But obviously I don't matter. Obviously, just me being here isn't enough for them. I can't keep them happy. I can't keep them satisfied. Just notice how you tend to take responsibility for other people's happiness, enjoyment, or the success of everything. Why do you think that all depends on you? Let's say it this way. Why do you feel like it's all about you? And that's the way it might be perceived by the people that are relating to you. Like, this is not about you. Why do you always make this about you? It's not about you. For example, we were talking the other day in my family about the perfect Christmas. What would the perfect Christmas day be like? And we were all just kind of explaining, we'd wake up early, open presents, then we'd go visit family, and then we would go outside and play in the snow. We live in Florida, so there's no snow. We'd go and play in the snow, and then and it was, just one after another, we were just kind of going through like the perfect Christmas day. And I noticed my wife, who's a 2, started to get really quiet and really hurt by this conversation. And it's because, why isn't the way things we're doing it now enough for you? There's no way I can meet all your desires, or there's no way I can meet all your needs. And so you must be in some way dissatisfied with my ability to pull off Christmas. That's kind of the thinking of it too, is you guys come up with these great ideas of what Christmas should be, and there's no way that I could ever meet those needs. Now, you see, from the rest of our perspectives, like, what does this have to do with you? Which is a very painful thought probably for most 2s, because it always has something to do with me. But we're not in any way trying to indicate to the 2 that we're not satisfied with how well she pulls off Christmas. We're just thinking, wouldn't it be great to add all these? We're just daydreaming and just, fantasizing about, wouldn't it be great if we could do these things? But the 2 hears that as somehow I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not able to make everybody as happy as they could be. That's pride. Like, I'm responsible for everybody else's entertainment and enjoyment in life. And if they're upset or if they're not satisfied, it's a clear indication that I failed in some way. And like the rest of us would be thinking, this is not about you. But oh yes, it is. It is about me, because that's what pride does. It shoves itself in and says, this is somehow an indication of how I'm doing, or how well I'm taking care of people, or how pleasing I am. Okay, before we get into the checklist, we will get there, okay? Before we get into the checklist and go through that list of how do I know I'm a 2, one of the things that Chestnut does in this book is she starts every chapter with kind of like a story of when the 2 was a little child, when she was a little girl. Here's kind of probably what happened to her. And it's just kind of this little fantasy story, but it's really powerful. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Beatrice Chestnut is a 2. I don't know that for sure, but, I think that's what it is. Okay, so once upon a time, this is basically, let me summarize the story, because maybe you don't have time to read it, or you don't want to read it, or you don't want to buy the book or whatever. But here's basically what she says. When 2 was a little girl or a little boy, whatever, when they were a child, they came into this world with this great capacity to love others. Like, they not only loved other people, but they loved loving other people. Like, they are wired to love people. They're wired to want to care about people and to love people. And they loved themselves. They loved themselves for how loving they were. toward other people. They had a strong emotional sensitivity, and they loved feeling supported. They loved feeling appreciated. They loved feeling admired. They loved being in the center of people's lives. They made other people the center of their life, and then they loved being in the center of other people's lives. But then, as she grew up, she realized that maybe she wasn't as supported as she wanted to be. Like maybe she fell down and got hurt, and instead of being cared for and loved, maybe was scolded. Like, you need to be more careful. I told you not to do that. Or maybe, wanted to receive a special gift on their birthday, but maybe the birthday was forgotten, or the birthday wasn't celebrated to at least the degree in which you felt it should be celebrated. And so it was very painful when this two's great need for love, when love was withheld or when love was not necessarily received. And that became a very painful feeling for the two, to not feel loved or to not feel wanted or to not feel cared about or to not feel admired or appreciated, or that you weren't pleasing to the people around you. So two tried to find love in this world by being very loving, by meeting other people's needs, by caring about other people, all the people around her. And she tried to get them to take care of her by being very pleasing, very helpful, and very supportive. If I'm very pleasing, if I'm very helpful, if I'm very supportive, if I'm very interested in them and in their life, and if I'm very interested in what they're interested in, and I attend to their needs and I take care of them, then maybe they would remember to love me. Maybe they would remember to make me a priority. Maybe they would remember to care about me. So to get the love that the two needed so much, she found herself doing all that she could do to please the people in her world, to take care of the people in her world. So the affection of other people made the two feel very safe, very cared about, and to avoid that terrible feeling of feeling like you're neglected. In the quest to be loved or to be liked, she focused a great deal of energy on all of the relationships. And I think energy is a good word because twos often have a lot of energy. Now, I realize that sometimes when twos aren't doing very well, when they're feeling uncared about or unloved, you will see them withdraw all that energy. It's kind of like the thinking might be, well, obviously I'm not wanted. Obviously I'm not cared about. Obviously I'm a problem. So I'm just going to sit over here and I'm going to be this unwanted person. I'm going to be this unloved person. You're making me feel unloved and unwanted, so I'm going to look and embody this unloved and unwanted persona. I'll just be over here rotting in the corner while you guys go ahead and have a good time. That's painful, isn't it? If you live with a two, you know what I'm talking about. We love you. We love you so much. But when you withdraw and you feel unloved and you feel uncared about, it's hard for us to want to love you more. It's hard for us to want to, be affectionate to that, which is exactly what we need to do. I mean, what we need to do when we relate to a two is when they're withdrawing and feeling unloved and uncared about, is we need to reaffirm our love for the two. Like we might in that moment feel like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Oh gosh, how could you be upset about this? We weren't even talking to you. We weren't even talking to you. We weren't even talking about you. That's what you want to do. You kind of want to scold them and say, come on, you're so sensitive. But that's probably not going to help. I think it's far better to do the opposite and go in and reaffirm your love and say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how I was making you feel. Look, we love you so much. Please come back into our group. Please come back. You're the center of our lives. Maybe you wouldn't say that. That sounds kind of corny. But that's kind of what you're trying to communicate, is reestablish and reaffirm this two's very important position in your life. Now, obviously, the long-term fix is the 2 needs to realize that they're being a 2. I mean, just realize that the stuff that bothers 2s, feeling unwanted, feeling unloved, like that's just 2-ness. You're a 2 struggling with 2 stuff. We're not causing you to feel unloved. That's part of being a 2. You feel unloved, or you feel unwanted, or you feel uncared about because you are a 2, because your sin is pride. Okay, and it's such a wonderful day when you can wake up to that and go, oh my goodness. My husband or my wife or my kids or my parents, they're not really the problem here. The problem is I'm a 2 feeling 2 stuff. They're not causing me to feel unloved. I'm feeling unloved because I'm a 2, and 2s feel and struggle with, and I need to just let that go. I need to realize that that's my struggle. It's always been my struggle, and it's very painful. Other people could help me, but I'm a 2 feeling 2 stuff, and I need to just let that go, and I need to return back to the moment. Because sitting over here alone and dejected and rejected, that's not ultimately going to give you what you want. That's not a good strategy. That's a failed strategy. Moving yourself away from the group and looking hurt and sullen and downcast is not a way to actually get what you want. What do you want? You want to feel loved and cared about. This is not going to make people want to look like they love and care about you. Okay. Sorry. All right, where are we? A lot of energy into relationships. Sometimes 2s can look a lot like 7s. I mean, sometimes they can look a lot like 7s, but they have different motivations. The 7 is not trying to make a connection with you, okay? Not usually. 7s are not trying to make a connection with you. They're not trying to show the world how much fun they can be so that you'll want me to be a part of your group. 7s are just doing what 7s want to do. They're having fun. They're enjoying life. They're buying stuff. They're trying things out. They're sampling things in life, and they're not primarily thinking like, I want to be loved and I want to feel cared about and I want the world to know how loving and caring I am and how connected But 2s can look a lot like 7s because they can embody that fun, loving, free spirit. And don't you want to be connected to me because I'm so happy and I make others so happy? Okay, totally different motivations. So 2s make people feel very happy. You can see why a 2 traps a 7, right? Why I got trapped by a 2. And why I trapped a 2, right? Because 7s get very excited about something. They get very passionate. They go to 5 and they get very passionate and focused on something. And I got very focused and passionate about my girlfriend, about my wife. And that felt great to her. And she comes along and says, hey, 7, I know the world told you that, your needs are not important and they're not going to meet your needs. Here I am. I'll meet your needs. And 7s and 2s often end up together because of this, I think. Also, sexual 5s sometimes end up with 2s because those are the 5s that make a person like the focus of their attention. Sexual 9s, they merge with a person, and that's very comforting to a 2. And sometimes 8s end up with 2s. It's okay. All right. So the 2 comes along and makes other people happy, or in their mind, do they feel like they're making other people happy? Ultimately, we can't make people happy. You can't make somebody happy. You can't make somebody miserable. You can't make people feel things. You can edit and control your behaviors, and those behaviors will have an impact on somebody. But if somebody decides that they want to be angry, no matter what you do, they're going to be angry. If somebody decides they're not going to be angry, no matter what you do, they're not going to get angry. They're just going to say, oh my goodness, that person woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Would be terrible to be them, but they're not going to. You are responsible for your own feelings. This is Boundaries 101 stuff. Your feelings are in your yard, and you are responsible for your feelings. But 2s, they kind of believe that 2s have problems with boundaries. If you're a 2, read the book Boundaries, okay? If you're a Christian, or you're open to Christian stuff because it's very Christian in the way it's written. You could also read The Disease to Please. That's a fantastic book as well about boundaries. It's kind of like Boundaries on steroids, boundaries with a punch in your face. But if you're a 2, those would be great books for you. Also, if you're a 9, those would be great books for you. Boundaries is all about knowing what belongs in your yard and what belongs in their yard. And see, 2s really believe that they can change the feelings of other people. I can make them like me. For example, I can win them over. I will win them over. I will make them happy. I will be the source. There's the pride. See? I will be the source of their affection. I will change their feelings about me. Well, their feelings are in their yard, and you need to have better boundaries to realize I don't need to try to control people's feelings. And that controlling people's stuff, that's going to feel like manipulation. That's why the lowest level of health of a 2 is called the manipulator. And I know 2s, you can't see that. You're like, I don't manipulate people. They manipulate me. They manipulate my kindness and my goodness. Okay, but you're going to come across, if you try to edit people's feelings about you or control things with covert strategies, with facial expressions and nods and groans and sighs and whimpers. If you try to manipulate people like that, they're going to feel like you're using covert strategies to manipulate them. And they're not going to like it. And some people are going to call it out. Other people are just going to be resentful of you. All right, there's a lot better ways to get what you want, like making healthy requests. Oh, but see, 2s have a hard time making healthy requests because it's very hard for them to know what they need, and it's even harder for 2s to say what they need, because what if somebody rejects them? And that's the greatest fear of all of a 2, is if somebody would reject them. So knowing what you need and then making a healthy request for what you need is the best way to get what you want. But it's very hard for 2s to do that, because the person could say, no, I'm not giving you that. Bull, stink, get out of here, no. And that would be very painful for a 2 to feel rejected. So 2s go about other ways, covert strategies, to get what they want in life. And people will pick up on those covert strategies and they will say, ew, I feel like you're trying to manipulate me. You're trying to control me without saying directly what you want. We all need some help, don't we? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for helping us. All right. So she makes them feel happy by giving them what they need and what they want. Over time, 2's desire to win people's love makes them extremely good at tuning in to what people need. Or let's say it this way, they have a radar. We all have a radar system to help us pick up things, right? And 2's radar is tuned in to what do people need. That person looks lost. That person looks lonely. That person looks like they don't feel welcome or comfortable. That person looks like they need help. They need encouragement. They need a kind word. 2s pick up, oh, that mom looks like she's worn out with her baby. I know what it's like to be worn out. I know what it's like. And 2s pick up what people need. Now, it doesn't always mean they're going to meet those needs. If those people are important to them, then they might feel inclined to meet those needs. But maybe even as they get older, they just feel like, I'm exhausted. I don't have anything to give anymore. If people are really good at responding to your meeting of their needs, it probably will indicate the 2 is more likely to meet those needs. In other words, if the 2 shows up and helps and you go, oh, wow, thank you. We really couldn't have done it without you. You were a big help. Hey, everybody, let's give it up for Marcia. Thanks, Marcia. Thanks, Sandy. You did a great job, Sandy. The 2, oh, no, please don't embarrass me. But 2s breathe. They breathe affection and admiration. They breathe it. It's the air they breathe. I'm not trying to put you down. I just want you to realize the truth, okay? If you live with a 2, the air they breathe is affection and admiration and attention. And so 2s are likely to go and help and serve where they are going to receive attention, affection, and admiration. If you want your 2 to be happier, at least in the short term, if you want your 2 to be happier, then you need to show them attention, affection, and admiration and say, wow, thank you so much. You did a great job. We really appreciate it. This meal was fantastic. No, I know you went to a lot of trouble, and thank you so much. That is the air they breathe, the oxygen they breathe. What if 2s don't receive that? What if they don't receive it? Well, then they might just quit helping in that area or that person. They might withdraw their support, and they might think, my family doesn't appreciate me. I'll go help at the Salvation Army. I'll go help at church. I'll go help at the women's, league. Why would I waste my time with these people? And there's where you got to question all this love. If it really is love, then why are you thinking like that, right? You were put on earth to love us, right? That's what you're put on earth to do, love. But love keeps no records of wrongs. Yeah, that's in the Bible. Love keeps no records of wrongs. Love is not easily offended. That's 1 Corinthians 13. You might want to go back and read that. You are the kings and the queens of love. Okay, well, let's check. Is it really love? Let me put it this way. Okay, this is going to be painful, but it's a great thought. It'll change your life. If you've never heard this thought will change your life. If I need you to like me, then I'm not really free to love you. If I need you to like me, I'm not really free to love you. If I can release this need to be liked by you, to be admired, to receive positive attention, to be thought of as a pleasing force in your life, if I could release that a little bit and realize that's a question of worth and value, and that's why you're in the worth and value group, if I could release that just a little bit, I'm more free to truly love you. And that's why when twos become more balanced and healthier, they're able to bring what they actually are looking for. All of us, when we're healthy, we bring the very thing we're looking for. What do twos want? Love, appreciation, attention, admiration, affection, connection, the befriender. Twos want to feel loved and cared about. Now, when you're not doing so well, you're just running around exhausted, trying to meet needs to get any kind of appreciation to help you with your questions of worth and value. But when you can relax that a little bit and you can know that you have worth and value, regardless of what you do for others, that it is inherent into who you are as a person, created in the image of God, you have worth and value. When you can relax that need, you are able to do what you are put on earth to do, which is to love other people. And love keeps no records of wrongs. Love is not easily offended. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is generous. Love is... Okay. In other words, you're loving from a full bucket, not loving to hope to receive a full bucket. You're loving from the fullness, not in order to get something, but because you're so full, it just splashes out of you. All right. We talked about being rejected. Driven to be appreciated. The two can sometimes disguise themselves or kind of become what people admire. A little bit like a 3 can, Threes become the best version of themselves by pushing themselves and doing what people applaud. In a similar way, 2s can kind of do that. They can kind of like be themselves back in the background and then be this outgoing, friendly, loving, kind, upbeat, positive, charming, winsome personality on the surface. You might at times hear 2s talking in 2 different voices. Kind of like, hey everybody, it's so good to see you. And then turn to their spouse. Get the stuff out of the car. I told you to get it out of the car. Yes, okay, back to you now. And you're like, what just happened there? Wait a minute. I heard you talk in this really sweet, charming voice with all these people, but then turn to the people that you love the most. And that's a little bit of that false self, true self, and that's a painful thought. But the Enneagram does help us get in touch with that true self. That's the true self back there. That's the true self, the 8 back there. And the false self is that, okay. That we really talk about in that Enneagram and Christian life class. Okay. So the 2 survival strategies come to rule their lives. I must be this pleasing, winning, charming, wonderful blessing out there in the world, or What? People will reject me, and being rejected feels awful, which it does. It really does. I kind of make light of it because as a 7, it's not as painful to me as it is to a 2, but it's very painful to feel like you're not loved or cared about or not wanted. That's a very painful feeling. And when 2s feel like that, they often make other people feel like they're unwanted or they're unlovable or they're uncaring. And so if you live with a 2, you're like, they're supposed to be this loving, caring person, but I really feel like they don't want to be with me. Okay, 2s kind of show you what you're doing to them. If you're living with a 2 and they're very unsatisfied or unhealthy, they're going to withdraw what they bring. What they bring is love and attention and affection. They're going to withdraw all of that, and they're going to pull it away from you, and you're going to feel like, I'm the most unlovable SO, that ever lived. And just realize that the 2 is kind of showing you how they're feeling. They're giving you a glimpse of what you're making them feel like in their minds. You're not making them feel something, but in their minds, you're making them feel unloved and uncared for. And so they're kind of reflecting that. Now you're feeling it too. They're sharing their sin with you. We all do this too. We share our sins with each other. Just like the one you'll see the anger on their face that they see internally. With the 2, you're going to feel that rejection that they're feeling. They're going to share their rejection with you. They're giving you a glimpse of how you're making them feel. And when that happens, you're going to be tempted to withdraw yourself or to become combative. And I'm just saying, don't do that. Move in and reaffirm your connection, reaffirm your love. Even though they might feel a little bit like a cactus right now or a porcupine, you have to move in and you have to reestablish that connection. And okay. Occasionally, the 2, okay, I'm getting stuck here in my reading. So the 2 sometimes forgets that that this was even about love. In their quest to receive love, they sometimes just end up people pleasers. And that's why that Disease to Please is such a good book. Harriet Breaker, I think she's PhD, Harriet Breaker. Great book, Braiker. Look it up on Amazon. If you're a 2, I'm telling you, it's going to be painful. You're going to read that book and you're going to go, ow, 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 ow. I do this stuff. Yes. Okay. 2 had become a zombie. A very friendly, generous, helpful zombie, but a zombie just the same. Cut off from knowing what they need. Friendly, but friendless. Ow. Ow, that's painful, isn't it? Friendly, but friendless. Sometimes 2s have a hard time making friends because they can be so guarded. You don't really get to know me. You get to know the nice, outwardly friendly, upbeat, cares for everybody, rescues people, rescues dogs, rescues the world. That's what you get to know. But you don't get to know necessarily the person behind the personality, because what if you weren't pleased by that person? You might reject me. And so 2s can become very guarded. 2s are a rejection type. 2s, 5s, and 8s are in the rejection group. And that means they tend to assume that if I were to just show up as myself and I wasn't showing up in all this positive energy, of course people would reject me. They would reject me. And so it's hard maybe to really get to know a 2. 2s you kind of know on the surface as this upbeat, loving, friendly type. But that's why they might be very friendly, but how many real friends do they have? And if you're a 2 and you have some real friends, that's wonderful. I don't mean people that you were related to 20 years ago. Right now in your life, right now. Right now. Look, I'm not picking on you. Let me pick on 7s. 7s, you're the most fun-loving people in the world. Why don't 7s want to be alone with themselves? 2s, you're the most friendly person in the world. Where's all your friends? Okay? Oh, I have friends. Yeah, this person from college and this person from when you were a child. But what about right now in your life? Ask yourself, if you're so friendly, then where are all your friends? Okay, the Type 2 checklist. Now we're finally, after 35 minutes, we're finally getting into the checklist. Okay, so thank you guys for sticking with me. It's painful, but it's good. It's like surgery. It's like eating celery. It's painful, but it's good for you. Okay, so here we go. Here's the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 10, something like that. Number 1, you focus much of your attention on relationships and how others respond to you. Yeah, okay, and that can be very good, but it can also have a dark side. And I always like talking about the dark side. So the dark side is, surely they're responding to me. There's the pride. No, we're not. We're not responding to you. We're just at a party having a good time. We're responding to the comedian. We're responding to the television. We're responding to the hors d'oeuvres. No, this is somehow about me. Everyone is responding to me in some way. No, we're not. But the two looks at the world as though everyone's responding to them. And it's all a commentary on how they're performing or how they're doing. And that's going to blindside the people that are close to you in your life. They're going to say, this is not about you. I said I didn't like the hors d'oeuvres. How is that about you? You didn't make the hors d'oeuvres. This is not about you. What do you mean it's not about me? And that's going to make it even worse if you say that out loud to a two. This isn't about you, because the pride is wounded. It's all about me in some way or another. That's the way pride thinks, okay? It's all a commentary on me. You guys should be happy because of all the affection, attention, and admiration I pour out on you. And if you're not happy in some way, that's some kind of commentary about how I'm doing. And we're all thinking, no, it just means the movie was a lousy movie. It doesn't mean anything about you. But in the two's mind, it's going to be about them. That's going to confuse us if you don't understand that, if you live with a two. Next, you worry about whether people like you or approve of you. And I think all of us to some degree, understand that worry, that concern. Maybe for the rest of us, it's not so much worry about it. I think 5s are probably the least likely to care about that. 8s, again, the rejection types. 8s and 5s are probably have given up on that. Like, they're not going to. And you see, look, that is the second point in the checklist. You worry about whether people are going to like you or approve of you. Rejection type. Do you see it? That is, you already go into it thinking they wouldn't like me. They would probably reject me unless I show up in my false self. You see that? The true self. What does the true self think? They're not going to like me. They're going to reject me. If I were to just show up as the child me, I remember being rejected. I remember being unliked. I remember being unwanted. And it's so painful. I'll beat this. And I will present a person that they can't refuse. They're going to like me. Because look how likable I am. Yeah, but where are you? You see, you're over here. This is you. This is your false self. And as people start to pick up that something's not right here, they're going to start to see that this is incongruent. Like, there's you, and then there's the you you're presenting. And you may not even be aware you're doing this. This is true of all of us. We're not really aware that the false self has taken over, has taken control. The true self, they're going to reject me. Okay, well, here's some questions just to think about. Instead of, I can't let people reject me, why not rather pray, Lord, surround me with the people that will truly love me? For me. Instead of, Lord, help me to be the kind of person that they can't reject. How about rather think, Lord, surround me with the people. Bring the people into my life that will truly love me for who I am, not for what I do for them. Why do you need those people to like you? And see, there's that worth and value question that's in you. Why do you need these people to like you? Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you like them? Do you like them? The people that you want to like you so much, do you like them? You might be surprised when you realize, I don't really like them. Okay. So why would you give your best energy to winning the affection and the approval and the attention of people that you don't really want to give your attention to? Help us understand. Help us understand. What you realize in life is when the false self is in charge, the personality is in charge, we often find ourselves doing the very things that move us away from the goals we have in life. So why am I spending so much energy as a 2 trying to win the approval and the attention and the affection of people that at the end of the day, I don't really like myself? That doesn't make sense, okay? It doesn't make sense. Except you're worried that you might be a person without value. And when you realize that, no, that's not true. You are a person of immense value, regardless of what you're able to do for others. You just have value, okay? And that, of course, I believe comes from my Christian worldview. I mean, I'm sure that in other worldviews, you'd have value just the same, but from a Christian worldview, obviously, you're created in the image of God, you have value. Whatever you can do or can't do. You tune into people around you. Beep, 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 beep. Radar. You tune into the people around you. So you're tuned into them. And that can be a dark thing, right? Because you might be overly tuned into their assessment of your worth. And so if you're getting the sense that they assess your worth highly, then you're going to be attracted to those people and you're going to want to be around those people. If you get tuned into people who you feel like are not assessing your worth and value highly, you're probably going to tune out from those people. You're going to think, oh, those people are just impossible. You can't win with them. There's something inherently flawed in those people, and you will what? You will reject them. You see that? You, the person who's afraid of being rejected, what if people don't respond to you the way you want them to? Do you reject them? And if you do reject them, then how can we call what you're giving love? Because love loves people even when they're difficult to love. Love is so much higher. And I've said this many times before in ministry, but I don't know that I've ever said it on YouTube, is as humans, we are not very good at really loving people. We love people as long as people do for us what we want them to do. We love people as long as they respond to us the way we want them to respond. Jesus would say that's no better than pagans. Even pagans do this. Real love loves people when it's difficult to love them, when they're being jerks, when they're being ridiculous. Real love says, I will continue to show up and support and meet your needs regardless of how you are responding to me. Most of us are not very good at that. I'm not just picking on 2s. I mean, most of us as humans, we're not very good at really loving people. Like when you're on a cross and they're yelling at you and spitting on you, that's when we go, I'm not taking this. There's something wrong with them. I'm going to reject them. Real love is not something we're very good at. That's why I think we need access to a higher love to do through us what we can't do. Okay, I'm going to quit preaching at you. All right, so you tune into the people around you and sense how they feel and what they like. And then shape shift. You say, no, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. Then shape shift to align with them and create a positive rapport. And so this could take a lot of forms. Like, for example, well, where are you guys from? Well, we're originally from Indiana. Indiana, that's where I grew up. I'm from Indiana. Now, in your mind, you're making a connection with them. But it could look a little bit like shape-shifting. Like, oh, I'm like you. I'm one of you. I'm with you. I'm on your team. I'm there with you. It's the exactly opposite of 4s. I mean, a 4 is going to do the exact opposite. Like, oh, I'm from Indiana too. Oh, well, and then the 4 will move away from that. Like, well, let's quit talking about what we have in common. Let's talk about how we're different. 2s go about the same strategy of finding worth and value by aligning themselves with people. And aligning means it's going to look like you're kind of shifting to become like that other person, or to an agreeable to that other person. You habitually anticipate what others may need, especially those who are important to you. But what if you feel like you can't figure out what they need? Or what if you feel like you can't meet their needs? Or what if you feel like they're never satisfied? You're going to get very frustrated, aren't you? Because shouldn't I be enough to be all that you need? Obviously, I'm not enough. Obviously, this is about me. Okay. You want to be liked by others and to be important, worth and value, okay? To be important to people who are central in your life. What if you get the sense from somebody in your family or somebody close to you that like they could take you or leave you? Well, I might see you turn on the energy to try to win them over, or I might see you just back away from them and again think there's something flawed with those people. I realize that a 9, for example, is maybe not going to pick up on any of this. If you were a 9 right now, that's why I want you to see that this is inherent in your 2-ness. If I were a 9 right now, would this bother me that this other person isn't responding to me the way I would like? Probably not. If you were a 9, you would not think it was about you at all. So you would probably not even see there's a problem, because 9s don't want to see there's a problem. The reason you're feeling all this stuff is because you're a 2. And when you realize that, you're able to relax the grip of the false self the personality has over you, and to become more present to life and say, you know what, Knucklehead over there doesn't really respond to me the way I would like, but that's just Knucklehead. I still am going to love him and care about him and give him all this wonderful attention. And that's when you really start loving him or her in your life, is when you don't need anything back from them. You can't do that when you're empty yourself. You've got to be full yourself to be able to love like that. Otherwise, you're just loving to meet your own needs. And that's not really love, is it? It's not really love. If I need you to like me, then I can't really love you. When I can not need you to like me anymore, I'm really free to love you. Wow, this is life-changing stuff. It really is, guys. It's life-changing stuff. I hope it blesses your life. I hope it's helpful to you. And if you haven't got the book yet, it's a really good book. All right. You make positive connections with others, but are very selective when choosing those you want to be close to. And if those people have hurt your feelings, I might see you withdraw from them and just kind of be unloving. Wow, here's this too, being very unloving. That's very confusing. Although you want everyone to like you, some people are more important to you than others. You believe you can make others like you through charm or generosity or support. So I've often said, to the 2s, there's 2 kinds of people. Those that love me and those that just don't know me well enough. When they get to know me better, they're going to love me. I will win them over. I'll get that kid to break out of their shell. You know, they don't misbehave for me. I don't know what everybody else's problem is, but when I have them, they're just a sweet, loving, kind person. I guess it's some kind of commentary on how great a babysitter I am, because for me, they're just wonderful. I just don't have any of those problems. Okay. You specialize in being friendly, upbeat, positive. See, you could look like a 7. And you take pride in being someone on whom people can count, especially if you have that 1 wing, because you're going to be reliable. You're going to be beautiful, charming, attractive, the object of our affection. But what if you're not? What if you feel like you're not the object of our affection? Could you still be present to life? Could you still show up and love people? Could you still take care of other people if you don't feel taken care of yourself? Because that's what love would do. Real love. Okay. So this desire to be likable could sometimes cause you to be what people want you to be rather than who you truly are. And getting in touch with that true self, that is that line to 4 for 2s. When 2s, travel down that line to 4, They're starting to get in touch with the inner person. What do I really want in life? What do I really care about in life? What do I really like in life? If I wasn't so busy trying to win everybody's approval, attention, admiration, affection, if I wasn't so addicted to that, what would I be doing right now? Who am I, really, underneath this wonderful, charming, beautiful object of everybody's admiration? Who's really the core me? What is really important to me? What am I here to do? What do I care about the most? That's that line to 4, knowing yourself. And when 2s, when the false self can relax a little bit, and I don't need to impress everybody, and I don't need to connect with everybody, and I don't need to win everybody over, and I don't need everybody to love me and like me and make me the center of their world. When all that can relax because I'm no longer struggling so much with questions of worth and value, guess what? I could just be myself. Which is what 4s want to be and to know themselves. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for sticking with me through the end of this. If you want to make an appointment, I'd love to talk to you. And I'd love for you to join one of these certificate programs. You could start blessing others by helping them, okay? Having conversations with them, using the Enneagram as a tool to help people realize how stuck we can be sometimes, how zombie-like we are in life, asleep at the wheel. Let's get the person underneath to wake up and be what? Present to life. All right, see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.